Didn't May literally just start? Hello again team, it's Jess or JashiiCorrin and welcome back for my June 2020 plan with me. In today's video, as can be expected, we're setting up for June 2020 in my bullet journal. But before we get into that, as per usual, we're just going to have a look at how this month was going. So as you'll remember from my last monthly plan with me, for May my theme was autumn. I have been wanting to do this theme for a really long time. And because May is the last month of autumn for New Zealand, it was going to be the last suitable opportunity for this year to do it. In terms of pages though, so we had my quote and cover page, my monthly log, mood tracker and habit tracker, my social media scheduler and my M&M and M&Ms page, which is essentially just a record of the media I consumed and some memories. We had my productivity tracker, which I'm a couple days behind on and really need to fill in. My meal log. A tracker for my month of planning with me challenge, which is happening over on my Facebook group. Link to that one in the description box. A Coke Zero tracker for the number of cans I consume each day. Oh dear. A monthly to-do list and a list of someday maybe things. So things that I wasn't necessarily going to get done in May, but I do want to remember to do at some stage. After this, we're just into my weekly layouts, so the first week, the second, the current week, which does need some filling in, and next week. Along with that, I also have one additional spread for a video that I just made. That one hasn't been released yet, but it should be up in a few weeks. And then we have the start of June. Before we jump into the time lapse, just a reminder that any of the equipment I use in today's setup is linked in the description box below. My theme for June is moons and mountains. Originally it was going to be something else, but because I knew I was going to be busy this weekend, I wanted to go with something that was a little bit more simple. Although that was the intention, I can't really say that's what happened in this setup. A lot of the decoration that I'm using for my June setup is outside of what I normally do. While there are some elements, like geometric shapes, which I can do with a stencil, the actual drawing of mountains was surprisingly difficult. I often find that when I draw a mountain, it kind of just ends up looking like a scruffy pyramid. And to be honest, that kind of happened with today's layout, but when they were all done together and the little details were added, I think that they looked really good. For my quote page this month, I wanted something that was fitting with the theme, so I have "the best view comes after the hardest climb." Not intentional, but I also do think this is kind of fitting with how life in New Zealand is right now. In mid-May, we went from alert level 3 to alert level 2, which means I was able to return to school this month. At the moment here, the light at the end of the tunnel is still a wee way off, but it does certainly feel like progress is being made. As I mentioned, a lot of the decoration that I have in today's setup is kind of outside of my regular wheelhouse. For the moon and mountain drawing that I have on my cover page, this one came from an awesome bullet journal page that I found on Pinterest. I tried so hard to find the original, and if you guys know who it is, please do let me know. I really want to make sure that I'm giving credit to the right people. Sadly, the website that the picture linked to didn't actually contain the picture at all, so I'm not too sure how that works. But as I said, if you guys know who the original artist is, I would love to hear about it. A lot of the other decoration that I have in today's setup was inspired by mountain tattoos. Of course, I've put together a Pinterest board for all of the inspiration I found, so if you wanted to check that one out, that's in the description box as well. Once the line work for my cover page was all finished, I then wanted to add in a little bit of colour. I thought this would be a perfect excuse to use my gold watercolour paints. Honestly, these are one of my favourite tools to use in my bullet journal, and I just don't use them enough. They have such a gorgeous amount of shine, and I really should use them more. I could quite easily have gone completely overboard with this though, so I tried to keep it quite minimal by just filling in the open sections on the letters for my quote, and then the flowers and some of the small dots on the moon. Cover page done though, onto the monthly log. I really liked the style of monthly log that I used in May, with rather than having a full grid drawn out, just having those floating coloured headers. I decided to opt in for the same for June, but instead of having each column be 6 spaces wide, this month I'm just making it 5. This was mainly so that I could fit a bit more decoration on the right hand side of the spread, but also I find that my monthly log doesn't get a lot of use outside of just originally setting up for each month, so it'll probably be okay that I don't have quite as much space to write in. One mistake I did make was in the last row though, where I overextended the coloured line. Ideally I would have had this finish on the 30th, but it actually goes all the way through to the end of the week. Not a big issue, and I don't think I'm going to need to cover it up at all, but ideally that would have finished a little earlier. The decoration that I have on this page was one of the ones that was inspired by those geometric mountain tattoos. Although it doesn't look anywhere near as good as some of the originals that I was looking at, I am still pretty pleased with how this turned out. I certainly feel like I need a little bit more practice with stippling, which is when you add shading to an image using tiny dots. Of course, once the black line work's done on this one, I'm also going to go in again with my gold paint. In terms of timing for the layouts we've seen so far, because I know you guys said that you appreciate hearing that, my quote page took 3 minutes total, which is understandable because it was not very detailed. The cover page took about 30 minutes, and this monthly log took about 27. Those times are from first touch of the pen to final erasings, so they don't include the sketching time. But hopefully that gives you a rough estimate of the time spent doing this setup. Since going back to school this week, I've already noticed that my motivation to get into my journal and fill things out has already decreased. With that in mind, I decided that for June I'm going to have significantly less pages to fill in my monthly setup compared to May. In May I had 8 different trackers. So I had my moods, habits, productivity, social media schedule, memories page, a month of planning with me challenge, my Coke Zero tracker, and also my meal log. While having this many pages in my monthly setup is actually something I quite like, I know that in June I'm not going to keep up with them. For June, I've decided to strip that back to 5. So as you can see here, I have my mood tracker and habits tracker. Because I've now gotten a new Fitbit and I'm back at school, I want to have my steps tracker again. My social media schedule is one of my staples, so that one's going to be included. And because I've been particularly enjoying my memories page, I'm going to include that one as well. I know for some people 5 still probably seems like quite a lot, but for me I think that's going to be a manageable amount. There is still a week until June starts however, so I may decide before then that I want a couple more. But for today's setup, those are the ones I've got included. Back to what I'm doing here though, so as you can see, I'm currently filling in my mood tracker. I super love how this page turned out. This one was inspired by Audrey of Dulcet Journals, who did a layout similar to this one back in March of 2019. Hers was a little bit more minimalistic than mine ended up being, but I really just wanted to add a couple more geometric shapes and a key down the bottom. I haven't actually decided at this stage how I want to fill this tracker in, so the key does look a little bit blank at the moment, but as I said, I do still have a week until June starts. In terms of timing, my mood tracker took about 30 minutes, and my habit tracker page ends up taking about 12. For my June habit tracker, I'm going with the mini calendar style again, because I really just like how it allows you to see the patterns throughout each week. For instance, am I consistently not doing a certain habit on a Thursday or a Friday? That sort of thing. To keep the spaces for my headers nice and tidy, I'm just doing the same thing that I did on my monthly log, by using washi tape as a barrier so that I can put the colour down and get really nice clean lines. Up next we have my steps tracker and social media scheduler, which took 14 and 20 minutes respectively. To fill in my steps tracker this month, I'm intending on using it as a line graph. So each of the numbers that I put up at the top are going to represent 1,000 steps, and then for each day I'm just going to put in a little star to represent the number of steps I achieved that day, and join the stars between neighbouring days with a straight line. It'll kind of end up looking like one long constellation come the end of the month. For decoration on this page, I'm again just going in with those crescent moon motifs, one of which includes a little mountainscape. This type of decoration kind of reminds me of my March setup from last year, where my theme was magic. Comparatively, I think I prefer these ones just because they're a little bit more detailed, but the ones from last year certainly were simple and still visually effective. For my social media page, I'm just going in with the same sections that I usually have, so a space for my Instagram posting on the left, and then on the right we have my YouTube schedule. To fill the space in the bottom right corner, I again just went in with one of those geometric mountainscapes. Again, I still kind of think my mountains look a little bit like deformed pyramids, but when they're all together they don't look too bad. As you'll have seen in a lot of the decoration I've done so far, I've also really enjoyed doing these little stars and sparkles around my mountains. This is just a combination of little circles, little crosses, little 4-point stars, and little starbursts which are just done with straight lines. Normally when I do this I also use little 5-point stars, but for some reason today I didn't include any. Again, once all the black outlining was done, I went in and added some gold touches with those Coliro Fine Tech paints. I'm really tempted to get some of the other metallic colours they offer because I really just love having a little bit of shine on the page. On this spread we have my memories log and my monthly to-do list, which combined took 13 minutes to set up. This was also where I made one of my biggest stuff-ups. When putting down the washi tape so I could get those clean-edged headers, I sadly didn't extend one of these pieces far enough, so when I came in with my Tombow dual brush marker, I didn't actually realise that the page wasn't going to be protected where I ended up putting my pen. A bit unfortunate, but nothing a little white gel pen couldn't fix. All in all, I'm honestly so happy with how my June setup has turned out. The decorations that I used for this setup were certainly outside of my comfort zone, and I think not too shabby for a first attempt, especially where those mountains are concerned. As always, I'd love to know what themes you guys have for June. Or if you had any theme suggestions for July, I'd be curious to know about those as well. For the final flip through, we have my quote and cover page, the monthly log, my mood and habits trackers, steps tracker and social media schedule, memories log, and a to-do list. Thank you for watching, team. If you liked today's video, please do make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and if you wanted to see more from me, feel free to go check out one of my other videos. Until next time, bye!